All right, everybody. We're live. YouTube, Periscope, and I actually want to try something. I'm trying a new software. It's called Streamlabs, and I want to see if it works on Periscope, for instance. Hey, Rosemary. This one is a special. This is a special Saturday one, right? Okay. 1 second. Do you see something called Streamlabs? I actually don't see it. But if you do see it, let me know. This is, last night I went out, and the problem with leaving live streams on Friday nights, because Friday night is when I normally would go out. I don't normally go out during the week, but Friday nights I normally go out, and there's something.
Normally would go out.
Oops. All right. But today I decided that since, the problem with doing these live streams later on Friday nights is that I end up going out, getting drunk, or just, coming back really late, and then it's too late. And so that's why sometimes I guess I'll do it on Saturdays, or I should do them earlier on Friday. So I'll put that in some sort of schedule. Actually, what I was talking about trying to embed in these live streams is Streamlabs. Because Streamlabs, it's kind of like Super Chats, except it goes across all the different platforms. It also does like a bunch of other things. It kind of brings people together, and it's got like this whole reward system. It's kind of fun. So, hey Steph, I'm glad you're watching. And today is a slow day. No one's really going out or anything. As far as I know, today seems like a slow day. Everyone's just staying inside. It's, I was talking to Daniel. He's out in Charleston. It's been storming outside where he lives. So he's just, everyone's indoors, either reading a book or babysitting or just chilling. So that's good. I was watching these videos with Antifa. It's today, Portland. There was apparently some sort of Proud Boys rally. Proud Boys they're right wing. It's a right wing group. They're pro masculinity, and they're like anti-feminist, and they have a very bad reputation on both the right and the left. And so Proud Boys was doing, from what I've seen, from the people that I've seen talk about them, they seem to have a bad reputation. They're called the Proud Boys, proud. And they were having a rally in Portland. And then, of course, because they were having a rally, anytime there's any sort of like right-wing rally, there's, hey Joe, thank you so much for Super Chat. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm excited for Streamlabs because hopefully that will make everything more convenient for everybody. And you get to keep more of the Streamlabs, which is good for everyone except the platform. So, all right, I have people watching from Tel Aviv. That's pretty cool. So, I was watching these Portland protests. First of all, the Portland protests are kind of annoying to watch at this point. It's kind of getting like, it's becoming same old. There's constantly protests in Portland. There's constantly the same exact thing. It's getting to the point where I don't care really what's going on in Portland, but I do care about the general idea of what's happening. And it's the same story, and it's really, to me, it's the most important thing is the way that the media is covering in Portland. Someone is saying there's nothing wrong with being pro-self. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being should be proud. And if you're a man, you should be proud of your masculinity. If you're a woman, you should be proud of your femininity. Proud Boys has a negative reputation from what I've seen, both the right and the left. But basically, they were holding some sort of rally in Portland, and then Antifa is basically shows up, and everybody knew they were going to do this. Antifa shows up as like to hold a counter protest, and they come in with all their violence and clubs and beating and like masks and mace and everything. So sure, they're the ones holding the rally, and Antifa's the one doing just a counter rally, but Antifa's the one bringing the violence. The videos that I saw, Proud Boys, they weren't being violent. The only violent thing they did was provoke the Antifas. And that's literally what the police are accusing them of doing, for provoking Antifa. Is that insane? You're being violent because you provoked someone who's violent just by doing whatever you do. They basically, what happened is, I mean, there's so many, just go online, search Antifa footage. There's so much just crazy footage online. But one of them that really stuck out to me is Proud Boys. First of all, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a footage from Elijah Schaefer. Elijah Schaefer of The Blaze takes a video of Proud Boys bus that says Antifa are terrorists, and a few reporters caught it actually. So Proud Boys bus that says Antifa are terrorists, and so that's what they're doing. They're provoking Antifa. So they're driving around in a bus that says Antifa are terrorists, and it's a bulletproof bus, and so they're basically, they're braced for war, and they're in a bulletproof bus, and they're all wearing like these t-shirts that say Proud Boys on them. Okay, so that's the Proud Boys. And then you look at the Antifa side, and then Antifa is basically a bunch of people that it doesn't say Antifa anywhere on them. It doesn't, they're walking outside, they're intimidating people, they're wearing masks so you can't see their faces, they're wearing all black, they're holding clubs, they're holding mace. I saw this one clip of a man Antifa protester who breaks through the one of the bus windows somehow. There's one part of the bus that wasn't bulletproof or whatever. He breaks through the window, and then he sticks the mace inside, and all the windows are shut, so he sticks it inside and sprays it continuously so that everybody in there is like, just gets the mace in the air, whatever. And these things are really strong. Pepper spray is really strong. It gets people in the hospital. People can get really injured over that. And when you look at that, you're thinking, the thing I start to think is, wow. So, and then all these media outlets like CBS News, Portland braces for violence at far right rally. Entire police force will be on duty. Violence at far right rally. So they're saying Portland is bracing for violence at a far right rally. Don't they mean violence from Antifa? Why wouldn't they say that? Why would they try to make it seem like the far right are causing violence? And they won't even mention that it's Antifa. And if you read the article, they won't mention that it's Antifa members coming in with their clubs and sprays. They won't say anything. Even though you see in the pictures and the videos, the people whose names clearly say on their shirts, Proud Boys, they're not the ones running around with clubs and macing people and stuff. But those are the ones whose faces you'll see because they're allowing themselves to be out in the open, and those are the ones whose names you'll see, and those are the ones who are being called far right, while the people with the clubs and beating people up and landing people in the hospital, and in some cases doing really, really serious damage to buildings and homes and people and buses, those are the people who are called the anti-fascists. How ridiculous is that? That's just one example of many examples why I like people who are called far right. I like people who are called, sexist, racist. I like people who get these bad names. And the reason I like people who get these bad names is that not all the time, but most of the time, people with bad names are more self-aware, they're more introspective, they're more, they're always on guard for themselves. They're always watching themselves to make sure that they're doing the right thing, that they're not living up to their bad labels. That's something that I noticed I have a lot of friends in the media, a lot of friends who are very famous and are either, either very popular in the media or very not popular, but nonetheless very famous. And there seems to be like a continuous a pattern. The people who are labeled freedom fighter, liberal, anti-fascist, democratic, like all these people with nice names. These are beautiful things to be called. And it's not always, but, and I'm not talking about people who aren't, I'm not talking about normal people. Okay? Because normal people, it's different. They're not living up to some sort of, public name. They're just living up to their own name and what they do in their own lives. I'm talking about people whose names are in the open, who are the topic of public discussion. People like that, what I've noticed is a pattern of not always, but very often, these bad label people are more on, they're watching their own actions more than the people with the nice labels are doing. And it makes me mad to watch the people with the bad labels who aren't calling themselves I am liberal, because doesn't everybody think of themselves as a good person? Doesn't everybody think that what they're doing is right? Like, very, 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 very few people in this world think that they're doing a bad thing. Really, really think that their actions are bad. And this isn't even a lesson in right or left. This is a lesson in just the world. This is a world lesson. You can really, really relate to anybody of any political view. You can relate to anybody of any religion. If you took away the labels and you took away these like world views that you grew up with, if you just take it down to a basic level, you can communicate with anybody on a human level and really like come to agree with the right things. And someone is saying the Nazis are not right. I agree with you. I'm Jewish. I don't think Nazis are right at all. You're saying not right wing. Okay. I don't know. I guess it depends what type of Nazi you are. Hey, Rosemary. Oh, Rosemary, thank you so much. Thanks. Rosemary just sent me a super chat. Thanks so much, by the way, the super chats. I really appreciate them. And also, the reason why I'm looking to add more features to this, and Streamlabs is another one that I want to add, is because I want more of your donations to stay here. I don't want YouTube taking it away. So more of these sort of softwares that we're gonna try to integrate. Hopefully will make it better. So now someone is saying Nazis were right. Okay, so let's all right. This better not okay, we're not going to get in a conversation about Nazis, but I'm just going to top off the Nazi conversation with I'm Jewish, I don't support Nazis, and the only thing I'm saying is that a lot of people who are given that label, a lot of people who are given that very awful label are not Nazis. In fact, actually, most of the people that I've seen who are given that sort of label are not. And I've said that word so many times on this episode that it's definitely, this definitely going to get demonetized, but it's fine. Because that's what this is about. It's about people who are given bad labels that don't deserve to have them. You don't, you know, it's like I hate to compare it to this, but it's like when you're very religious. It's like when you're very religious and you've got the priest is or like whoever's like the head of the church or the head of the leadership, the synagogue, the temple, whatever, the head of that place is looked to as the moral leader, the person who's gonna set everybody is gonna set the stage for everybody and is gonna make the rules for everyone and be the example, be the example for everybody. The people with the most righteous labels, oftentimes you see that not only are they not doing better or the same as everybody else, they're doing worse. They're doing worse. Like the amount of sexual harassment and abuse that happens by the hands of people, public figures, and I'm saying public figures because this doesn't usually happen with lay people because, like, you know, if no one knows what you're doing, then why does it matter to you? But with people whose names are out there, who are like in the public space, people who are in the public space, they're in positions of leadership, and they're more likely to take abuse of that power, to abuse that power. Someone who's has a very high standing with the media nowadays. I'm not talking about liberals and conservatives who are ordinary people. I'm not talking about ordinary, you know, nobody knows you, or maybe a few people know you, but not enough that you're constantly thinking about your public image. Okay? But people who are really, really, really out there and have a good standing with the media tend to be people who also like abuse their power a lot, and they tend to not live up to their good name. And there's a saying in Hebrew. What is it? It's basically it's more important to have a good name than to have a good income. And I think about that a lot, because really, is it more important to have a good name than a good income? Well, a good name is I'm just gonna pause this for a second, because someone just one of the people in Periscope, David, says, I'm going to pause, you're losing one viewer only because I have to go get something to eat. That really makes me laugh so much. You guys, I love every single person who's watching this so much. And if you, and you have my permission to go and get something to eat. As long as you tell us what it is. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's all. I just feel like people, like, I've met all sorts of people in this space, and some people, and you know what? Antifa is kind of the nice. Antifa is the nice thing about Antifa, as much as I don't like it, what they're doing, the nice thing about the existence of Antifa is that they kind of, because they're not accepted by the left right now. They're not accepted by the whole left. I keep seeing people on the left who are disavowing them, which is nice. People who are acknowledging that there's violence and they're disavowing them. Not a lot of people, not everybody, not the media apparently, but just a lot of people individuals on the left who have come out and they've disavowed these the violence. And Steph is watching this with a screaming child. Steph, you should force the child to watch this if they're bad. You should force the kid to watch this as a punishment. And yeah, so Yeah, I keep seeing people who are coming out, and finally, after a while of Antifa being crazy, people are starting to notice, hey, maybe just because your name is anti-fascist, it doesn't make you against fascism. Maybe it's just a name that people give themselves to let themselves off the hook for being violent, crazy people. Maybe it's not, you know. And so it actually makes me happy to see that kind of thing. And hopefully more and more people start to realize it. It's messed up to me that we even have, and also hopefully the word liberal is going to be reassigned. A lot of liberals are actually liberal, but a lot of liberals are the most intolerant people you've ever met in your life. They won't I mean, they won't try to understand the human behind anything. To them, it's just completely ideological. Everything is completely ideological. Like, it's really like being religious. It's like, whoever follows my religion is a good person and is going to heaven, and anyone who does not follow my religion, who grew up in a different way or with a different ideology, whatever, is a bad person. They're like absolutists, and that's not very liberal, at least not in the definition of liberal that I think of. Okay. So, another thing I wanted to do, okay, Julio Rosas is my friend. I have two friends who are in Portland they're really everywhere, and I think you should follow both of them because they're both journalists, and they're both always at these big riots that happen all around the country. Anytime they were at Charlottesville, they're in Portland, they're always anywhere that there's going to be some sort of crazy Antifa riot, they're there. And that's Julio Rosas from the Washington Examiner and Ford Fisher from News to Share. Those two people, I highly recommend going and following them. They're both great. They're both great friends. They're really nice people, and they're also great journalists. They won't, try and spin their narratives, but they will tell you what they saw and what's happening to them. And so right now, Julio was actually intimidated by a group of Antifa protesters. This one guy who ended up being arrested, actually, you saw in the videos. But Julio's like, he's Hispanic, and he's really young. I think he's like 20 or something. But anyway, he was there, and they're like, aren't you Hispanic? Why are you there? And Julio's like, I'm just reporting. And they were trying to tell him to like leave. And so when they said that, like, hey, aren't you Hispanic? Why aren't you on our side? And when they said that, I was thinking to myself, like, this is really a race war in a lot of these people's minds. Like, that's why they're there. It's a race war. But if so, why are most of their protesters that I'm watching with the masks and everything, you look through the masks and you see their skin color, they're all white. And the only people who, there was this one picture that I saw of like all these Antifa protesters in a line as if they were in war. They were like on the battlefield. They're all like, there, and then there are the people in the front. The people in the front, there's like, a black guy, like there's two disabled people. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this picture. I might have even retweeted it. But it's like, these people that are not wearing the masks, that they just, you just see them. And then everybody else behind them with the masks are white people. Magashimofo says, I like you, but your chat room is weird. No one is friendly. No one replies. Weird. Everyone be nice to Magashimofo. This is supposed to be a really nice chat room. Actually, Magashimofo, if you went over to YouTube, the YouTube people, everybody on the YouTube people know each other, because the YouTube people are like homies. So if you're in Periscope and you are craving more friendship from the comments, I would definitely recommend YouTube, because Periscope is a little more out there. Periscope is where everybody who's on Twitter can see this Periscope stream. If you're on YouTube, it's more exclusive. You only see this if you are a YouTube subscriber. You subscribe. No, you're not paying anything. You just subscribe, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and you just get a notification whenever this goes live. So that's why the YouTube people are a little more like a community, if that's what you're looking for. So, all right. Okay. Okay, so, this white supremacy stuff, it gets me really mad. I have a lot of friends who are called really awful things, racist, white supremacist, whatever, and it's for totally no reason. And when you get to know them as people, because they're constantly having to watch themselves, it gives them a level of humility and down-to-earthness. When they talk to you, they're like, it's like they appreciate, even if they're so big and they've got this huge amount of power, influence, whatever, they appreciate you talking to them because of this humility, because of how much the media has beat down on them, which it's really nice to see. And in a way, I think that it's better. Like, I would rather be called bad words by the media and have more power with like the rest of everybody and be like independent in that way than with the media. But it's still unfair. It makes me upset to watch so many people be crucified by the media for so unfair a reason. And also, like, because I worked in the media for so long, it's not so long, but most of my career life, I've been working for media outlets, and here in DC, I mean, and they're, you know, political. And the thing that it also feels a little bit like a boys club. It really did, except for I honestly, my favorite, like, I really liked Mediaite, which was the most recent one. I loved working at Mediaite. Really great journalists. Mediaite it's mostly left-wing liberal, but they were very open to all sorts of different things. So they were open to someone like me coming in there and writing whatever I wanted. So, all right, I see people are really enjoying this setup. Someone is saying, is this a portal to another dimension? Maybe I'll make it look like that, because it's like it is a weird setup, but maybe I can have things hanging from the ceiling, like really cool stuff. That would be pretty cool, actually. Yeah, we'll just add things and make it weird, and just keep adding things. One thing I noticed, and I really appreciate, Daily Wire brought me into it. Well, specifically Ben Shapiro was the one who brought me into this media world. But one thing I noticed about corporate media is that it really is a boys club. And first of all, like, everybody knows each other in the media world, so they're all, like, you know, scratching each other's back. So if you have not worked at one of those places and you're kind of like more of an independent journalist, you can easily get left out, and in fact you can get stomped on for no reason. Even if your behavior is not at all worse than anyone on the inside, they will stomp down on you and call you racist, sexist, whatever, because you're an easy target, because you're not one of them, and they don't need to be nice to you in any way. And also because they're a competition, they're competing with your network, because, you know, they're making money and views and probably very powerful without your help. And they're, you know, especially a lot of people are moving towards independent influencers and not big media outlets. Nerdoff says your background should be like your background should be like a game show. Let the audience anticipate what you're going to talk. That's such a good idea, what you're going to talk about. That's such a good idea. So the background should be like, oh my gosh, you just gave me the best idea ever. There would be like a spinning wheel, And the spinning wheel will have like all sorts of topics, and then you just like spin it, like what will we talk about today? And it will be like, you know, one will be like birth control, another one will be Antifa, another one will be Miley Cyrus, another one will be Donald Trump, so like each thing will be another topic. And then there will be like, oh my gosh, you're giving me so many ideas. Oh, and then there will be like a board with all these so many ideas, people. This is not on purpose. This set was not on purpose. In fact, this guy this Churchill painting was not here on purpose. I was holding it for someone. By the way, it was not here on purpose. But it just, you know, and then one night, it wasn't on purpose, but then one night I started putting on like a filter, and while I had the filter on, I noticed Churchill also had a filter. So let's see. There it is. There it is. You see that? So there's Winston Churchill and his filter. I'm gonna take it off. But anyway, so that's what happened. I did it, and it had him in the shot, and it was really funny. Magisty Mofo says Bannon, Posobiec have been ginning up extremism behind the scenes. Nothing MAGA patriots approve of. I don't know what. I don't know what you mean. Someone says a board game called Pardes Cheesy. I should do like a board game, because sometimes I'm just like I don't have anything else to talk about. I don't have anything else to talk about, but like I still want to be here and like talk to you guys, but like I've already fleshed out like everything I wanted to say in the first 30 minutes. So what else am I going to do? So if I feel like that would be a really good idea. I can play a game. Okay. All right. Oh, and then also like another thing about like media outlets, corporate media outlets, is that not only do they become like a club within themselves, they get very boring. Like they can't tolerate creativity. They don't like new ideas. They don't like it if you want to go do something on your own. You're kind of like a zombie for them. And then another thing is that what I noticed is that women do get paid a lot less, and they get treated worse. And the reason for that is not because, oh, there's like a wage gap and they hate women in DC and all that stuff. Well, I'm sure there is, and for different reasons, and I'll actually tell you why. But but that doesn't have to do with that. That just has to do with the fact that men are generally more successful than women in their careers. So that's not like a controversial idea that men are usually more successful. But specifically in media outlets, because women in media are often they're written off as like, well, you're just getting views because of how you look. So they're written off as like eye candy. So the fact that I'm sitting here and talking to you guys, my viewership is more likely to be male. And so the fact that I'm talking to you guys and I'm female it would be considered like, well, you're female and people are watching. I mean, of course I've got both genders, but if, you know, you're talking and you're female, so, you know, people are probably just watching you because you're female. And so that's what it's like for a lot of people that I've noticed. A lot of my friends who are in media. I mean, I was never on camera when I worked in media just because I was so awkward. And once I went more independent, I started to be more confident. That's why I started doing this. But a lot of my friends that I saw who were there really like because women tend to be more like not as confident, a little more shy, a little more reliant on other people to prop them up. So so they do get underestimated a lot in the workplace, I think, because being in the workplace is all about standing your ground and asking for what you want. And specifically in media, because media a lot of times, especially if you're on TV or whatever, is dependent on your look, if you're a public figure. So women are generally written off as like, oh, well, she's just having all these followers because of her looks. She's just having these viewers because of her looks. And my answer to that is like, so what? I mean, Phil DeFranco, this YouTuber, if that's what happened. Sorry, I was going to go on a tangent about Philip DeFranco, but that's whatever. I'm just going to drop it because it's too far-fetched. But, that's how it is. Like, male viewers often will get female attention. Female viewers will often get male attention. But because it tends to be so extreme for women, they'll be like, they'll totally disregard how effective you've been and how many viewers you've gotten, which equals money and attention for their outlets. They'll totally disregard it and even look down on it just because it's just because you're a woman, and it's like, so what? Whatever, So I've seen it happen to other women, and not so. For me, it's just like, oh, you're on Twitter because of. But I wasn't doing camera work. And then another thing, so that's also, I just didn't like the way women are treated. And not because I am like a feminist or whatever, because I'm a woman, and I didn't like the way that women are treated because I'm a woman. And it bothered me to see that. And usually things bother you more when it's personal. Okay. So I wrote a blog post one time, like a year ago or something, about being successful and whatever. And so I wrote about why men are generally more successful than women. Diacritical says no one likes to be minimized or dismissed. Not a good environment. Exactly. It's not inherent to women or men. I think in media companies there tended to be this thing with women, because women would try to, it's like a whole thing. Like, women tend to bring in more viewers with just looks, so that can cause a lot of discussion. But yeah, like, there's something wrong with my computer. So, why are men more successful than women? Okay. First of all, men. Exxon says that I could start an employment agency for women. Maybe. I think that maybe it's good to have like workshops for women or something. I don't know, actually. This is why I think that men are more successful than women. So, a few things. First of all, there are some reasons, like, there are some real things that go against women. It's not necessarily all about mindset or whatever. It's not all because, women are coddled more than men, and they're taken care of more. They're taught to be dependent and men aren't growing up. They're from childhood, women are taught to be dependent, and men are taught to just go and fend for themselves. Little boys are usually left to their own devices, and little girls are like, oh my gosh, someone looked at her, oh no. So, well, there's that, but there are actually things that do put women behind. First of all, there's getting your period. It is, for women, not including Jessica Yaniv, okay, having a monthly cycle, it's crazy, it makes you sick, it makes you stressed out, and like it really can take up a lot out of your month. And so you're not making money, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not like looking good, because you also look gross. So you're not looking good, you're not like relaxing, eating, taking, doing chores, homework, and you can't control it, when it's there. So it really just comes in the middle of everything. And what if you have like a major speech to give that day? You're like screwed. You just have to take like a ton of pills and like just power through it. And yeah. And then the next thing is, of course, pregnancy and childbirth and all that stuff, a lot more involved for women. And then there's, of course, everything else that men don't have to do. Looking, figuring out what to wear in the morning, fixing your hair or makeup, getting your nails done, having to like go outside in your 4-inch heels, and like everything just takes longer. Your big handbags, you have to look good, like you can't just go to the gym and then shower for 5 minutes and then go to work. You have to like, go to the gym and then go and like, in your private locker room so no one sees everything, and then you like, and then you shower, and then you have to like blow dry your hair and then get it done and then get your makeup done and everything, and just takes forever. It's really hard to have a life, and like men don't have to do all that stuff. Although I have met men who take longer than I do, so there's that. And then finally, there's the fact that women are very socially dependent. And I think that's like the biggest thing. All these other things are like they're smaller things. They're not always relevant. But being social creatures, women are very social creatures. And not just because we're biologically social creatures, but also because we're trained to be socially dependent. And that's because our parents just coddle us, and our society coddles us. Like, we have to do this for women, or take care of women, this and that, go and like, it's just, a lot of these social justice groups, a lot of these like disadvantaged workers groups and everything have good things, have good intentions in mind, try and help people who need it or whatever, but at the same time, it's the coddling nature of everything that kind of makes people weak. You don't want to be coddled in society. And I think women are very coddled from the time they're children, and they're taught to be, and they're very social, and we are very social creatures. So, and whether or not we're coddled, we're very social creatures. So there's actually this meme that shows like lonely woman versus lonely man. Lonely woman is someone who's like, oh my god, my friend didn't why are like only ugly guys asking me out? Stacy got 30 likes on her profile picture. She's so annoying. Why hasn't she texted me back all day? And then like a lonely man version of that is like this guy sitting at a bar all by himself with a glass of whiskey, and he's like, I haven't spoken to another human in 2 weeks. And so that is like the perfect example of the difference between how men and women are socially. Like, women are very socially dependent, and I think that being socially dependent is a big thing that hinders success. So, like, it's like people who are popular or famous. Or people who peak in elementary school or high school. Very, very popular when they're little. Very, everybody likes them, wants to hang out with them. You want to really be friends with. Everybody is always around them, so they're always have people around them socially, and they're so they're always hanging out with their friends and always being social. Everyone's like just always there for them. And then there's, of course, the nerd in the class, like the dork in the class. And no one wants to have anything to do with the dork, the class dork, because that person you're going to look bad. You don't want to be like you don't want to be that weirdo who hangs out with the class dork. And like, that you want the social benefits in high school. And so after a while, the nerd, the dork, figures out how, in his alone time, how to become self-sufficient all by himself and learn how to, without friends, become successful. He studies more. He ends up like taking, figuring out how to survive on his own. In the meantime, the popular kid grows up and is like so dependent on having like this whole social group around them. And then when they get older, because when you get older, you're just naturally, you end up being on your own more. You're not in your little bubble anymore. You're not with your whole family anymore, your friends. And then life becomes really hard because you were coddled this whole time. You were just like in your social bubble your whole time. And now and you're so dependent on it that like when you're left to be an adult, you can't handle it. And that's why a lot of people peak in high school, and then they end up like, not having the kind of jobs that they want when they get older because they're so socially dependent. I think that's like the root of a lot of things. And then the nerd kids, like the dorks, get really popular, and they get really successful. They become really successful in life, and they become popular because of that. Although once a dork, always a dork. You never become less dorky. It's just the outer appearance. And the same thing with child stars and famous people. People who become famous when they're younger, and then eventually they get older and they're not famous anymore. Women who become popular when they're younger and they're very pretty, but then they base like their entire identity based on their looks. And then when they're not as good looking, like their looks, their identity is gone and their success is gone. Whereas like with men, they're less likely to base their whole identity on their looks. So they're still going to keep being successful. Anyway, so like different things like that. So at the end of the day, anyone can be successful. Just, in my view, a lot of us are very socially dependent, especially women, and could definitely benefit from becoming more, first of all, if you have a daughter, like, don't coddle your daughter. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, well, we have to make sure, like, I would just say kids who grow up, like, learning how to take care of themselves, at least on some level, I think it really helps. Steph says for women, I think there's a difference between being coddled and being patronized. Yeah, like a lot of people think that they're like taking care of you, but they're just, a lot of people think they're taking care of you, but they're just like, it's just like a cover for like trying to control you, because it feels good to have control over this person who seems like more dependent on you or whatever. And as a woman, I like being able to like kind of do my own thing, because because I like, yeah, I like being able to like say whatever I want, and even if it's crazy, and even if like, you know, it's not so professional or whatever, according to whatever like media outlets would do, but it works for me. Anyway, KJ Madden says, what is your favorite drink? My favorite drink is tequila, but I don't like it by itself. Usually with something else, like lemonade or something. I don't know, like in a margarita. Steph says, I also don't think there's anything inherently weak in being feminist. Oh, feminine. Yeah, I agree with you. It's like, unfortunately our society feels like, oh no, we have to take care of these people because they look more vulnerable, they look smaller, whatever. Or I don't know, like parents think that they have to, they have to like be more protective of the girls. And I feel like oftentimes, not only do you, like, you don't need to. Okay, I'm trying to find. Diacritical says, I lose respect for people to allow themselves to be infantilized or coddle too much. Again, coddle too much. Sorry. I hold being patronized against anyone because that sucks. Sorry, like I can't read your comments from, sometimes I have to like look from in there and it looks kind of awkward. Okay, someone says, what's your favorite brand of spaceshipy wall padding? Ha ha ha. I actually didn't put these up, my friend did. So I actually do not know. There are some societies. You guys can make your comments however long you want. I wish that the YouTube people can see the Facebook actually, I don't know. People on Periscope, you should know that the YouTube people, it's like a totally different world. So if you ever wanted to be more like, have more of like a community sense, I would recommend going on YouTube. And it's not just because I want more subscribers, although I do want you to subscribe, but it's also because the people on, like, it's just so different. I can see both of your comments at the same time, but you can't. You can only see the comments on whatever platform you're watching. And so, like, they're so different. The YouTube ones are more involved, like, they're more like having it's more of like a integrated, like we're all having conversation. Okay. Any other questions? Someone is saying, what are you promoting? I am actually not promoting anything. I'm promoting like happiness and I don't know, just like food. I like food, and like I started meditating, and I definitely recommend it. You should definitely start meditating because everything is so stressful otherwise. Okay. Bye. See you all Monday. I'm really glad I got to have this with you guys today on beautiful, lovely Saturday afternoon. And hopefully see you guys Monday night. Also, like, I'm really glad that I opened up my DMs and I got to see what you guys have, like ideas and stuff like that. Some of you have had really great ideas, and some of you I haven't even responded to, but I saw your ideas. And definitely feel free to send me whatever ideas you have, because at the end of this month, I'm switching out of my full-time position at my firm, which I really love, but I'm switching out from full-time and switching to freelance, and I'm gonna have more time to make videos, which I'm really excited about. So in addition to having these nightly videos, I'm also going to have just like a regular vlog. And so if you have any ideas, things you want to see more, topics that you want me to talk more about, things that you just think I should have in my background, tell me and let me know in the comments, in the DMs, whatever. In the DMs, DM me. That's easier. And then see you all to Monday night.